So now we'll continue with the non-operational quality attributes. So what is non-operational quality attributes, uh, which is not online? So with something it's not operating at that point. Testability and debuggability means testing is one phase that all of you know. We have to do it to see whether system is completely functioning or not. So what is the difference between testing and debuggability? Testability deals with how easily one can test the design application and by which means he or she can test it. The means, the tools that you're using to test a particular system. It need not be software, even the hardware also, every circuits, we are going to, we can debug that. So every different parts of the system, different circuits of the system, we can debug and ensure whether it is functioning or not. In the same way, debugging is also to figure out the probable sources that creates an unexpected behavior in the total system. So what is the actual difference between testing and debugging? So testing is a process to find out bugs and errors. Debugging is a process to correct the bugs found during testing. So testing is to find the error. Debugging is to correct that particular error. So correct that particular bug is called as debugging. Now let us go to the evolvability. What is evolvability? Evolvability is nothing but it refers to the ease with which embedded product can be modified to take advantage of new firmware or hardware technology. So evolvability it mainly refers to ease with which the embedded product you want to enhance it. So the evolvability, the system should support that kind of changes new so depending upon the requirement. So now the embedded systems, whatever we are having, ATM machines, if you take earlier it was all through commands. Now you are having touch screens. Earlier it was through keypads. Now everything is through touch screens. So there are several changes happening in the embedded systems, even the mobiles also. Earlier it was only keypad, now you have touch screen. So the core part remains the same, but you will be enhancing it. That is nothing but evolvability. So these are some of the non-operational quality attributes. Now let's go to the next one, that is portability. Portability is a measure of system independence. It is said to be portable if the product is capable of functioning in various environments. The system should be portable such that it is adaptable to different types of environments, target processors or controllers. It need not be all the time the environment, it could be target processors. So the embedded system, now whatever you're developing, the core board, it should be flexible enough to operate with different controllers. Today we are using one type of controller, the same board, the same concept you're using with the enhanced version of controllers. So it should be portable enough to switch over to different controllers and to become more compatible with the different controllers. Now, coming to the next one, time to prototype and market. What is the time taken between the conceptualization of the product and the time at which the product is ready for selling? Means that time at which the thought process has come. Okay, this is a product we have to manufacture. The time taken between that and the actual product coming to the market is the time to prototype and market. So January, we are telling, yes, this is the product we want to launch. And around August, we are telling, yes, we are done with the product and we are releasing. So that, what is the time to, so the time taken between January and August is actually the time to prototype and market. Now, per unit and total cost. Cost is a factor which is closely monitored by both end user and product manufacturer. As an end user, I will always see I get the a quality product in a reasonable price. As a manufacturer, I always feel I want a little profit. So the whatever the cost that you're fixing for a product, it should somehow attract both, means the end user also and a marginal profit to the manufacturer also. So all these things comes under non-operational quality attributes. Now let us go to uh, the product life cycle. So how exactly the product gets evolved? If you see here, if you see the product development, it is initially the product development. Um, Nothing is there. Now we are telling, yes, product introduction. it has been introduced to the market. I'm talking from that aspect. And then you're seeing the growth aspect. It is actually in the medium phase, and finally it is coming down when once the product is becoming more matured, means it is means there are several competitors along with the current product, then you can see there's a decline in that. And then the product retirement, when it is there are so many competitors and there are better product than the current one, you're seeing the cost is coming down. So if you see the unit cost during the introduction, it is more growth, it is stagnant. During the maturity line, it is coming down, and during the product retirement, it's totally coming down. Now let us see the product sales. If you see the product introduction, you can see it's slowly growing, and one during the growth phase, you see the sales are going up, maturity rate is going to the maximum, and finally when there are new products, there are a lot of competition, it is coming down. So that is called as product retirement phase. And even the product, if you see initially, it is during the introduction, it will be less challenge, it is more challenging, and during the growth, the profit is more. Maturity side also there will be more, and finally the fag end of the product maturity, the profit will start diminishing. Even if you see the product retirement, it is slowly is coming to the fag end of the profit is almost coming down. So this is the product life cycle. So now let's take a simple application, washing machine. So it is extensively used in home automation for washing and drying clothes. What are the user interfaces? You have I/O like keypads, display units, and LEDs for accepting user inputs and providing visual indications. So LEDs you're having for user inputs and providing visual indications you're having. And it mainly contains sensors like water level sensors and temperature sensors. So they are the input device. So it is mainly used for water level sensors, and sometimes it may boil the water. For that, it is using temperature sensors also. Depending upon the mode of the selection what you do, the levels of water also changes. Now let's go to the next diagram. You can understand, you can see here. See, here is a level sensor, there is an inlet pipe, and this is the inner tub, this is the outer tub, and this is an outlet water. I think all of you can relate it. This is a body case, and this is a temperature sensor. And this entire thing is a user interface. You can see a small LED, which whatever the options you're choosing, for example, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 2 hour, rinse, wash, heavy, all these things, whatever you're selecting, the related output will be displayed. So these are the different components you are using it. So let's see. It mainly contains actuators like spin. So it mainly contains sensors like temperature sensors, and they are the input devices, and the output devices like actuators like spin and agitation control for spinning, and for agitation. You would have heard the sound. It just start doing a momentarily shift, back and forth shift. So this is called as agitation control motor unit. So these are the output devices. Now it contains an integrated embedded controller for controlling the washing operation. So definitely internally there is an embedded controller. So sensors, actuators, and I/O devices are interfaced to the I/O system. All of them are the I/O devices. They are interfaced to the core part of embedded control unit. Now, specifically, they are designed for serving the application. They are mainly meant for washing and rinsing the clothes, and you cannot use it for another application. So this is one of the applications of embedded system.